going to make our fresh fruit tart with a sweet pastry crust. So we have to make the crust first because it's a lengthy process. It's not hard, but it needs to rest a lot. We've measured out 1 1/4 cups of flour, and we use a scale. So this particular scale, we can measure and get the right amount. We have a 1/2 cup of butter and a 1/4 cup of powdered sugar. And we're going to, and 1 egg and a 1/2 teaspoon of an orange liqueur. So we're gonna put that in the food processor and get that formed into a dough. So hold on, because it's going to get noisy and messy. You want the dough to come together, but not be so sticky that it doesn't fall off of your fingers. So now that it's at that stage, we're ready to form it into a ball. A little bit of flour on the counter just to make it into a ball. We're going to wrap it in plastic wrap, and we don't use a lot of plastic wrap, but for something like this, we need to have plastic wrap. So we're gonna put it in the middle. We're gonna flatten it out to get it nice, and this is to help it chill because it's not gonna bake or roll well unless it's well chilled. So we will do this. We'll put it in the refrigerator for an hour. Okay, we're going to make the filling for our fruit tart with the sweet pastry crust, so that the filling can set up in the refrigerator as well. So we have 1 cup of milk, 1/8 of a cup of cornstarch, and 1/4 of a cup of sugar. And we're going to heat that up as we stir it. The cornstarch will thicken it, and when it gets just slightly warm, we're going to add 1 beaten egg to it. And you don't want to end up with scrambled eggs, so we're not letting the milk mixture get overly hot before we add this, or we would have to temper some of the milk mixture into the egg. And you can certainly do that. You can certainly temper your egg. I just happen to do it like this. Now we will stir this until it starts to thicken. And the terminology is it coats the back of the spoon, which means that it will put a firm layer on your spoon, so when you rub your finger through it, it stays. It's not runny and soft. And we're using a medium heat. This is an induction stove top, so things get hot really quickly, and the things that you're cooking cook very quickly. So you have to pay attention to the temperature and stirring so that nothing sticks. And I can see that it is starting to get warm and it is starting to thicken up. Point where if you would dip a spoon in here, you can see that when you run your finger through there, it doesn't run off. That's what it means by coating the back of the spoon. The bottom of the pan was hot, so the burner's hot. Now, we're gonna add a tablespoon of butter and a teaspoon of vanilla, good quality vanilla. And we're going to stir it. Mix all the butter and the vanilla in. And then something we do that my Aunt Lorene taught me a long time ago, we're going to strain our filling mix to make it nice and creamy and smooth. There's always little bits of cornstarch or egg white or something that doesn't get mixed up or cooked right. So by straining it, and you'll see what I mean in just a minute, we strain it through just a fine mesh strainer. And there are little lumps. Sometimes they're egg whites, sometimes it's a little cornstarch, sometimes it's flour if you do a flour pastry cream. And that's why we strain all of that out. We want a smooth, creamy filling. Now, this is one other instance where we use plastic wrap. We use a piece of plastic wrap on top of the filling, layer right on top of it, so that you do not get a hard skin on there, because we're going to want to add a little bit of whipped cream and a little bit of mascarpone. So if you put it right on there, no air gets to it, and we'll put it in the refrigerator. Okay, the tart crust dough has been in the refrigerator for 2 hours, and it can stay in there for up to 3 days. So if you have a dinner party in a couple days, you could do this part ahead of time. And what you want to do, we're going to put it in a tart pan with a removable bottom. So in order to do that, we need to roll it out bigger than the tart pan. This is where we get our exercise. And we're using a floured surface so that nothing sticks, or it doesn't stick as badly. Try to make it as circular as you can. That's not totally important, but it will make it easier to put it in your tart pan. And you can judge to see that this is about the right size and about the right thickness. Maybe a 1/4 of an inch thick or a little bit less. And to do it easily, just pick it up, sure, easily, off the counter, and lay it on the rolling pin, roll it up, and put it on your tart pan. And then adjust it as necessary to get it in. Because you want it to the bottom. And if there's a place like this where it's not tall enough, or like this, you can add some of the crust there. Any excess dough. You don't really want excess dough on the outside. Cover it with a kitchen towel so it doesn't dry out, and put it in the freezer for 30 minutes. Okay, a little bit of mascarpone cheese. And the reason that we use that is just to give it a little more stiffness, a little more flavor, and also, so that was probably a tablespoon or 2 of mascarpone, and probably 1/4 of a cup of heavy whipping cream. And we're going to beat those together. About halfway through, I taste it to see if it's, we don't want it sweet, but we don't want it bitter. So I'm going to add a tablespoon of powdered sugar, and I'm going to beat it. Okay, we have really nice, stiff, whipped mascarpone and cream, and we're going to put it into our cool, chilled pastry cream that we made. And what this is going to do is lighten it up just a little, but yet allow it to be stiff to go into the shell after it's baked and hold up to fruit being on top of it and being able to cut it. So we're going to fold, and fold just means turning the spatula over on itself to get it all lightened up and good. And when you feel that it's about the right consistency, we will put it back in the refrigerator to set up. We're getting ready to bake these, so we've taken them out of the freezer. We put them on a rimmed sheet because the bottoms are removable and we don't want anything, there's a lot of butter in here, we don't want it going to the bottom of the oven. So what we do is we put a piece of aluminum foil, and then we use pie weights. We've used dried beans, anything to keep the foil down onto the crust because you don't want it puffing up. You're not making puff pastry. We're making a pastry crust. So we're going to do it this way. Now, alternately, you could poke a hole in there. It doesn't work as well, but that's how we get it ready for the oven. Okay, we've taken our tarts out of the oven after we baked them with the pie weights, took the pie weights out, finished baking, and they're now a nice golden crust. We've taken our filling out of the refrigerator, and you just want a very, it's not like a pie, it's not like a cream pie. It's just a very thin layer of filling that's going to go, and I use an offset spatula. We like that here. It works better because it spreads things out evenly. We have one small one, one large one, and we'll continue to do that. And it also then, the filling acts as a base for our fruit. So as I spread this around, this is about the thickness you want, not very thick. Like I said, it's not a cream pie, it's just the filling for the tart. We're now ready to put our fruit. I've taken strawberries, really nice ripe strawberries, and sliced them pretty thin. You can arrange them however you want to. We like to just kind of put them around like this. And we're gonna use a couple, 3 kinds of fruit. We'll use strawberries, today kiwi and blueberries. We've used mango, we've used apricots, you know, everything. Whatever you have is good, and whatever fruit you like. So, we will continue to put those around. Now, we've arranged the fruit. Like I said, we used strawberries, kiwi, and blueberries. We've taken about 2 large tablespoons of orange marmalade and a tablespoon of Grand Marnier and heated it up so it's fairly liquid. And we're going to just dab it with a pastry brush over the top of the tart. And this is just a little bit of extra flavor, but also to make it look very shiny and very pretty.